recording now, and after the webinar, you will get an email with the completion file to watch. It will also be posted on our Facebook channel and our YouTube channel by the end of the day today so that you have access to that. Without further ado, we are going to start looking at action plans and what they would do. So my first question for you all is, how many of you actually have a plan with when you need to follow up with someone once you meet them in the home search process? Someone says, yeah, I'm thinking about selling in probably the next year or so, but I'm not really ready yet. How many of you have a step-by-step plan for what you're going to do for that person to be in touch and make sure that you're their person? Awesome. So that's what today is about. And it's about setting that plan up in IQ so that you're reminded of what you need to do with that person. How many of you have a plan for when someone says, you know, I'm thinking about buying, but I don't really know what I want to do? How many of you have a plan to work with buyers when they're before looking? So awesome. So a lot of it is, some of it is no, some of it is yes, some of it is I encourage it, some of it is I just loosely keep in touch. And today what we're really going to do is I'm going to show you how to create an action plan so that once you meet someone, you know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. And these are customizable. So this is your plan for your people. There are 2 plans in there that the company has provided. But really what we want to talk about is, okay, if I meet someone and I think they might potentially buy or sell from me, I want to be in touch once a month or once every other week or once every 2 weeks or whatever it is. And to get to that section, you go into the tools or preferences and you click on the button that says My Action Plans. And this is the area where you're actually putting in the work to start an action plan and set your follow-ups on an interval basis. So an interval basis means once they're assigned to the plan, it happens a certain number of days after they're assigned to the plan. So it is not date specific. It is indeed just, hey, you know, I added Jen to this plan on Monday and something happens on day 3 and on day 8 and on day 10. And if I add Rob to that same plan, the same things happen for him, but they're on different days because it's an interval. Does that make sense for everybody? Awesome. So once you're in this action plan button, again, we went to tools and preferences and we clicked on My Action Plans. You actually can go into the upper right-hand corner and you can start a new action plan and you can name it something that makes sense to you. So if I were going to name this plan, perhaps this is potential seller, 1 to 2 years. And then you're going to name your action plan type. And that action plan type is contacts/leads. If you want it to apply to people, if you want it to apply to listings, you would click listings, but we're going to start with contacts or leads. Once you name the plan, choose the plan type. Just for the time being, ignore this section down here. This is coming soon, and click save. Now I can see in here, here is my potential seller 1 to 2 year plan. If I click on it to open it, I get the summary of what items are added, and I can then change the action plan if I want. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add action items to this plan. To do that, you click this plus button in the upper right-hand corner. So I was doing some research and reading, and it says that to be considered in touch with someone, you need to be speaking to them at least every 3 weeks. And so what I recommend is that you are contacting your people twice a month. One is a voice-to-voice contact, so that means a text or a call. or a social media interaction through messaging, but it's a personal touch that you're doing that is not automated, that is just you. So if Bob has some clients and he's got them on an automatic drip campaign that emails them twice a month, that's great. That doesn't count as your 2 contact points, because it can count as 1, even though there's 2 emails, because that is an automated system. You need to be voice to voice contacting your people at least every 3 weeks. So if we say, hey, I'm voice to voicing them, they're getting a couple emails from me, and I'm voice to voice contacting them once a month, that should cover those bases. So to add a follow-up item to an action plan, again, remember we just clicked on the action plan to open up the edit screen, and then we push the plus button next to items found. And then we're going to choose the item type. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a follow-up request. So these follow-up requests are the manual voice-to-voice, text-to-text, or messaging through social media that you're doing. And that item name can be my monthly personal check-in point. If you would like to add notes to it, you absolutely can do that. And then you want to choose when this is due after. I am going to assume that when you add someone to this campaign, it is because you have just had some kind of voice-to-voice, face-to-face contact with them. And so I'm going to choose, when I scroll down here, I can say due after days. Is it due immediately, or how many days after is it due? And I'm going to choose 20, because that's approximately about 3 weeks after I've met them. We could choose 21 if we wanted to be very exact. Do you want to blacklist yourself if it's overdue? No. Do you want to repeat this? Yes. And I want to repeat this every 21 days. So every 3 weeks, I have a voice-to-voice contact with this person. And then how many times do I want it to be repeated? I'm going to say 100. And I want to be notified 1 day before, and it's required. So I can't snooze it and I can't dismiss it unless this is done. Cody, I'm in an admin account, so don't worry about that. That's so that if your company is creating an action plans with leads and you're not keeping up, they have a way to know. Did that answer your question, Cody? Awesome. So once I've put all my information in here, I click save. And now I can see here it is, my monthly personal check-in point. I know I set this up so I know that it's repeating. It happens every 21 days. The next thing that you can do is you can actually have things automatically happen for you. So again, we're going to add another item. And I want to have them added to a campaign. So I'm going to have this added to important days campaign. Now, you have to set up the campaign before you can add it as an action plan item. We've gone through that a lot of times. There's a lot of information on YouTube channel if you don't know how to do it. And I did about 2 weeks ago, there's some information on Facebook that you can see that there are some campaigns that are set up. So you set up the campaign first, but then you can actually say, hey, if I add someone to this action plan, I automatically want them added to this campaign. I want it to happen immediately. And then from this drop down underneath options, you can actually say, okay, I need this to be maybe it's my all contact campaign, and I click save. And now I can see that immediately they're added to that campaign. So I've got my monthly check-in, I've got my add to campaign, and maybe I want to send out an auto system email. So maybe about 30 days in, I want an automatic email to go out that is my check-in email. Again, you would want to create this content first. So you're going to create this content within the marketing system. So underneath this marketing tab first, And I'm going to type in a subject. Eloise, can you hear me? I just got someone that typed no sound. So I do want to make sure y'all can hear me. Eloise, can you hear me or no? Can everybody else hear me? Yeah, so Eloise, something's going on with your computer. So here I went in, I put in the subject line. I said, hey, the item is a check-in email, month 1. I'm going to send it after 30 days. And I want it to send so many minutes after I set this up. So right now it's 8:11. And if I am saying, okay, well, I want this to look like I'm actually sending it in a real time. So I'm going to say, hey, I want it to be an hour after I set this up. Do I want it to repeat? Yes or no? I want it to send from me, the agent. So I can say, hey, is it from the system? So do you want it to send out from my queue? Do you want it to send out from the owner of the lead? So if you are on a team, you might want it to come from the owner of the lead, or if you're a team leader, you can say, hey, this action item comes from me, or you can have it come out from the agent who owns the lead. So if I'm sending it out from the agent, it's going to come from me. And then who do I want to send it to? I want to send it to a contact or lead. The really neat thing, because I see that there are some admins on the call, is you can actually create a campaign that goes out to the assigned agents of leads. So you can say, hey, this is your monthly reminder to be checking in on all your leads. And that can be an action item, or the owner of the lead if you have teams in your office, or you can check more than one of these boxes so that it goes out to everyone. And then underneath that content, again, you're going to search for the content. It's going to pull up all of the content that you've created. I can say I want to go in to my homeowner tips. I want to do my April showers email maybe, or I want to go in and do, maybe I have a content that is this content. You select the content and you click save. And now I can see all those action items. Does anyone have any questions about adding action items to a contact campaign? So we've added a follow-up request, we've added them to a campaign, and we've set up some automatic emails. So if there are no questions on that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I click save. And I want to show you how to attach that to a contact. So if I'm within my customer relations and contact screen, I can actually go in. I'm going to act as an agent so that there are contacts in my contacts. And you go to actions, and then you go to edit. And underneath that actions button, you can actually click add to action plans. Now it is only going to pull up your company action plans and your personal action plans. So if Terry creates an action plan, it's not going to be available for Michelle. So you only see your action plans and your company action plans. I select the action plan that I would like to have them on, and now I can see that that's there. So that's how you actually go in and you attach an action plan. Are there any questions on that? So we've created a contact action plan, we've added items to a contact action plan, and then we've attached an action plan to a contact. Again, you went into your contacts and leads. You clicked on the person, you went into edit, you went into actions, and you assigned a plan. Again, it's only going to show your action plans that you've created. Here's that potential seller one we just did. And now I can see all the items here. Anything that does not have a date next to it means that it automatically is happening. Yes. So Jeanette asked a question about kind of the order of doing things. And so some of you I know have been on a lot of my webinars and some of you have not. Anytime you're in IQ for the first time, I recommend starting at the top of the screen. Sorry, my mouse just died, so I need to plug in a different one. So you're going to start in the upper right-hand corner where it says Realistic IQ, and that's going to be your profile section. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to work your way down the left-hand side. So you're going to open up that contacts menu. And again, bear with me. I have a spare mouse that's a plug-in mouse that I keep just for this exact occasion, but it's got twist ties on it. So you start up here on your name, you go to your profile, you set up your profile. Then you go to your customer relations and you import all your contacts so that all your people are in here. Then you go down and you work on your marketing plan. You create your content, you add your content to your campaigns. Then you go into tools and preferences and set up your action plans. So the next type of action plan I want to talk about is a listing action plan. And to do this, I'm actually going to act as an agent that has listings so I can show you how it applies. So you're going to go into your tools and preferences again and go to my action plans. And when you create a new action plan from this drop down, you're going to choose listings. So you may say this might be a farm and ranch action plan for farm and ranch listings, or it could be a vacant land action plan, or it could be a relist action plan. Once you do that, you click save again, then you go and you say, okay, here's my farm and ranch plan, and you add items the same way. The only difference is with a listing, you have a lot more options. So you can go in and you can have social shares. You can go in and you can have surveys sent out. You can go in and you can add your seller. So it asks you to do all of this information and it happens automatically. You attach an action plan to a listing in a very similar way. You simply go to your listings dashboard. You click the listing you want to add it to, and then you add an action plan. It will pull up all of your action plans as well as your company plans here. So I can say here, I can see, okay, add your seller, order postcards, and then there's a test on there. And it's gonna say, okay, I've got to order my postcards because that's due on the day that it's listed. Add my seller contact to the listing. I can actually go in and I can mark these as complete. If it isn't complete in the system, it's going to prompt you, okay, complete the action. The seller is not in there. So I can actually search for my contact, I can add a new person, or I can search. I love the demo site. Complete. And then you're going to go in. Are there any questions on how the listing action plans work? So they are exactly the same, but instead of applying them to a listing, instead of applying them to a contact, you're applying them to a listing. So how many of you have a list of things that you do for a listing once the listing is live? So once the listing is live, I go in and I do this and this and this and this. So Jeanette has a list and it's quite a lot of things. It should be a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you can do for a listing. So you could go in and instead of having like a manual piece of paper for this, you would actually go in, Jeanette, And for all the rest of you that have that, I would say, okay, new listings. I need to do a listing flyer. That's a system email that goes out. I need to do a neighborhood update. That's a follow-up request. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is the information. If you ever want to go in and see an action, you can just click on edit and you can actually see it. You can say, okay, well, I need to share it on social media. So okay, social share. This is a Facebook, Instagram post, new listing post. It's due 2 days after it goes live, and it is visible to the seller in the portal. I need to make sure that I'm going in and I'm saying, okay, I need to set up my seller reports. And I can click save. So you can actually have an entire list of everything that happens, and you can have them do the same day that the listing goes live, a couple days after. Maybe it's a lot you do in the first week, or you can, if it's all stuff that needs to be do the same day, you can actually say, okay, follow-up requests, sign, phone call. It's due the same day. So you don't have to have only one thing per day. You can actually have quite a few things on one day. Are there any questions that you have about how to set up a listing action plan? If you don't have questions, I cannot see you shaking your head or saying no. So, the last thing I want to show you about action plans, Cody, I'm going to come back to your question, is if you go to your name in your profile and then your profile, and you go over to your preferences. If you scroll about halfway down, there's a section that says default action plans. So you can actually create your new listing action plan, and then you can have it automatically assigned to any action or to any new listing that comes in. You do that by clicking the magnifying glass, and you can actually say, okay, I'm going to select this plan. If you have listings that are reduced, you can actually go in and search for a plan, and you can choose from all your action plans so that when something gets reduced, it happens. You can also say that all new leads that come into the system go onto this action plan, and you can scroll through your contact action plans. So it might be something like an online leads action plan. So those things will automatically be assigned based on what's coming in. Again, to get here, I went to my name, to my profile, and then over to preferences, and about halfway down that screen is a section called default action plans. This makes your life way easier. Again, keeping in mind that when you're logging into IQ, if you don't have your people in IQ, if you don't have your contacts in your customer relationship management platform, this platform is no good for you. This is all about keeping in touch with your people. It's about managing your listings. It's about managing your business. So the first thing you're going to do is actually add your people into the system. The next thing you're going to do is go and you're going to build some content. So you're going to build some flyers and some letters and things like that in your marketing section. Then you're going to go in and you're going to create email campaigns. And you're going to add events to your email campaigns so you have multiple events. And then you're going to go in and set up your action plans, because without your marketing content, your action plans are going to be tedious to create. So we've been doing this for about 25 minutes today. The next thing I want to show you is, what if you have certain events that are due on specific days? So we learned how to set up interval action plans based on what's happening, but what if you have something with a specific client that you need to have happen on a specific day? You can actually go in, so I can go in and I can say, okay, for Sue Black, I actually need to do something on a specific day. So underneath that actions tab, you can actually click on the plus new in the upper right-hand corner, and you can add an action. And this could be like, call, it's her birthday. And you could say, I need to remember, she told me her birthday was June 28th. I need to know the day before. And I can add that based on a specific day. And you can add a whole bunch of those. So you can say, okay, I need an automatic system email to go out on this day, and it's going to the contact, and the content is, maybe it's something like open house extravaganzas this weekend, or every year you do a garage sale weekend in your neighborhood or something like that. So I can go in, I can say holidays, and I want this to go out on Easter. So you can actually go in and add content or actions to happen on a specific day. Now you need to know that you can't do those in the action plan section at this time. It's based on individual client. And that the reasoning for that is that so that your action plans never expire. And you're not having to go back in and re-add content and make sure that everything's right for next year, that you can use those action plans year after year after year, because they're all set up for interval. And if you have things that are specific to a client, you can have them set in the individual client. Any questions about action plans or how to set them up or what they are, or how to access them to edit them? Yes, Jeanette, there is. So you can look on our YouTube channel, and there's a how to import your client video. You go to customer relations, and then you click on import contacts. Awesome. So here's the challenge for all of you today. And for those of you who take my webinars, you know what's coming. If you never put this on your calendar for when you're going to actually go in and work on your action plans, you never will come back to this content. So I would challenge you now to get out your calendars, whether they're on your phone or maybe you use an actual hard copy calendar, and set aside some time this week to actually go in and work on your action plans. You'll need about 30 to 40 minutes if you've already created your content to go in and set up a active buyer action plan, an active seller action plan, an action plan for, my sphere of influence, keeping in touch, an action plan for my past clients, so that you're top of mind. As real estate professionals, we are terrible at keeping in touch with our clients. Terrible. Something like over 70% of people use a new agent when they go to buy or sell. They forget that you're around. That's a really good question. So there's a question that says, are we able to copy an action plan, edit it, and save it as your own? And right now, Emily, the answer is no. And the YouTube channel, thank you, Jen and William. Yes, the YouTube channel is there to help. Other questions that you have? So Cody asked the question, will this ever be offered in person? Cody, Lyle and I are working through some ideas on how we can create some live training and traveling. There at this time, we do not have a schedule down. And so I can't say yes, but I'm not going to say no either. And that, as we figure that out, we will be announcing it. Cody, you would love Coeur d'Alene. It's beautiful here. Other questions for y'all? Yes, so William, all of these webinars get recorded unless otherwise stated. It is being recorded. It will be on YouTube. It will be on the Facebook channel, and you'll get an email here as soon as it renders. I do want to value your time. I know that we're headed into busy season. Yeah, so Jeanette, follow-up request is the most generic type. And so when you go in and you say, hey, I need to add a follow-up request, that's why you can actually name it. And so I can say, okay, I need to add something in here. It's just a generic follow-up request, and I'm naming that item. And that's why then you see the name here that makes sense to you. All right, if there are no other questions, I do want to make sure I'm valuing your time. I hope you all have a great day. There will be an email that goes out later today with all of the webinars for May as well. So make sure you get registered for those, and I hope you make it a successful day.